All right, guys. So this is just going to be a kind of a double webinar. We're going to be going over our two most recent updates, the 2.9 and the 2.10, reviewing all of the new features that we have added in. We apologize for pushing out the 2.10 update so close to 2.9, but there was some um, much needed additions, such as the POAM feature that we're going to go over today, that made that a necessity. So I will hand the reins over to Patrick and let him get started with walking you through 2.9.
Hey everybody, so it's been a while since we last had a webinar. I think it was Nick, I think it was Christmas time, right? I had
I
a
believe so.
festive suit, so a little less festive, a little more towards spring. Happy spring, everyone. So yeah, so 2.9 had a couple different things that we're going to go over, and I'll start the screen share now. So for anyone who hasn't been on one of these prior, we go through for about 10-15 minutes all the different changes that we've experienced over the past couple. Well, usually it's per update, but this time it's 2 updates. And then we open the floor up to questions. So please feel free to ask any questions during and after we conclude. So for as Nick was talking about, so 2.9. So that update comprised of a couple things. Had a log export, a feature that we added into the Discover tab. So I'll start off with that. We also regrouped some of the alerts in the events area, and we also tied in a report feature that can be found in settings, which allows you to receive a summary report of alerts that occurred on the tool. And then we also have a ability now in the Microsoft 365 API integration to on the front end toggle between commercial, GCC, and GCC high. We're then gonna go to the compliance tab area where we did add in a POAM and a tasking feature, as well as some enhancements to the SSP export in both the NIST and the CMMC areas. So I'll start off on the Discover tab. So one of the things that we wanted to add was the ability for you to get your logs quickly and export them. Before, you could have gotten logs from some downloads from the dashboard side, also through the backup utility, but now you can apply filters, and then as we see right here, we have an export area where we click on that, and you can specify just the logs that we're looking at in this view right now, so i.e. current search. We can download all 9,400 of these logs. We can export them. You can do that either through CSV format, or you can also do a JSON, which is how they're natively stored. You can also specify 500,000, 5,000, or 10,000. If we wanted to make it a little more accessible, maybe filter down the time frame a little bit more, and if you add any filters either directly here, or if a filter is carried over, if it's pinned from a dashboard, say we wanted to filter down this specific observer IP, we'll see that we now have 71 logs that we can export. If you want to export a singular log file, the best way to do that is to filter out the value of the time frame. Since it's down to the millisecond, it's going to allow you to just download that singular log. So we hit export, we download this, and we'll say CSV export sample. You can name it however you like. And if we open that CSV up, we're going to have all the different field types as we have stored in the tool. But most importantly, if we go to the, you're able to access the original event original over here. So we just break that out. we have the original raw log right here that we can view in its entirety as copied from the tool. So that's the first thing that we're going to review today. So next step, the alerts area. So we're going to go over to events. If anyone has any questions on that, please feel free to chat us up in the chat or send a question. So we go over to the events tab now to check out that new alert enhancement, which again was in 2.9. So we click on alerts. We create a template, create an alert from a template, and now it's all organized by vendor. We just wanted to do some cleanup, get everything all together in there. Now, if there's a certain alert profiles that you would like to see, let us know as specific as possible. If there's something that, we're not grouping, or if there's just a query that we could easily add in there, or something that you punched in manually but you think would be valuable for everyone, if you have a Cisco ASA or FortiGate or even some Windows, no problem, just let us know and we'll look to tie them in. But now they're all grouped under the vendor that you're looking to support. So as we can see here, we have 4 for FortiGate. We can just turn that on, set the severity threshold, and turn that alert on as normal. So another thing that ties in a nice alerts area that we have, we go into the settings area now to check out that new report feature. So it's just simply called reports. It's in the settings area. We can see it's right here. We'll click on there. So the report area, report settings, you can set the frequency. You can select through, well, one, if you never want to receive a report, no problem, just select never. But daily, weekly, and monthly summarized reports. Okay. Can you hear me loud and clear, Nick?
I can still hear you, Patrick.
Okay. All right. So daily, weekly, monthly, and you can set the email, the report to be emailed to as many email addresses as you like. So I have it set to myself, P. Colantonio. You can include alerts, compliance, and network monitor. Those are the sections that we have now. We're looking to add some more in future, but that's what we wanted to start out with. And as they get generated, they get stored in here. So if you didn't get the email or it got buried or you deleted it by accident, no problem. You can come in here, click on the report. It's going to give you the timestamp. It's going to give you the, so we can see that none occurred on this day. Maybe let's go to the next one. We can see that there were 4 mediums that occurred. We have all of them listed out here, the ones that you have turned on and their occurrences. And also if there's any compliance data, if there's anything out of the compliance tool, which we'll get into shortly, and then any updates or notifications about the network monitor. And you can print the report right off here in a PDF or to a printer directly. So that's the new reports area that we have, and we can see it's listed here. And then in the settings area, it has that little pencil on the paper. So moving along, going to the inputs area, we go to Microsoft Office 365. So I turned the one that I had in here off. So just to show you that you can select now, this area here is new, Microsoft 365 or Office 365 subscription plan. We can select Enterprise, which is commercial, GCC, or GCC High. And that's just going to allow you to designate and have the appropriate domain to pull in those logs from the Microsoft Administrative API, the tie-in that we have. So yeah, so if you're moving from commercial to GCC or GCC High, no problem. You can toggle it right here in the settings area here. So I don't see any questions or comments. So we're just going to move right along. So the last area that we're going to touch upon is in this compliance tab here, where you can set up your system security plan for NIST or CMMC. So we had a couple enhancements there. So we'll go to CMMC level 3. And the new area, so we can see under manage, we can see the POAM area right here. I'll get to that in just a second, but one of the areas that we added in or enhanced, if we click on the export here, report and data, show additional options. So we have a couple different areas that we added. So filter included controls by status. So you can, by default, they're all going to be checked, but you can opt to just have maybe planned items in the generated system security plan that we have. So turns it into a POAM of sorts by just having those planned items and actions. You're also able to include tasks underneath. Maybe you don't want those to clutter up your system security plan, so you can view those as we go into the POAM area over there. You can also exclude controls without artifacts, controls without tasks. So it just allows you to not just get a one-size-fits-all report like we had previously. It allows you to be very selective in what you want to receive in that printout. However you're going through it, you can also determine maybe you don't want a cover page, maybe you don't want the appendix, maybe you're just kind of doing a you know, short workflow. You want to work through some controls. You just want to print it out. I always love to print stuff out and highlight it and check it out. So this allows you to do that, and it has all the other features that we had before: setting the accent color, setting a password protection, selecting the revision that you want to generate, for example. So just a couple more customizational areas for this report. So going to the POAM, this POAM over here is going to list all of those tasks that you, instead of having to go, before it was, you had to go into the control and you had to know it had a task. You could view and filter and say, okay, well, I want to know if it has a response, but we didn't really have it where it allowed you to have a task. Usually tasks are attributed to planned items, so you can specify out the status of the planned item, but that's not always the case. Maybe it's partial, or maybe it is implemented, but you have a task to check on something, you want to add it in there. No problem. You can view all of your tasks in the manage POAM area. They'll be listed out. You can export the list through CSV. You can also create a task right from here and select the control that it applies to, and then you can group them by priority, order them by due date or when they were created, and view them all right here. You can also add comments like you can in the task area under the controls in the view and edit area of the requirements of this area of the tool. So I hope that wasn't too quick, but that's everything that we have gotten to date with both 2.9, 2.10, and then we did have 2.10.1 come out. There was a quick bug fix we needed to apply for the 365 update that we had. So the most up-to-date NeQter Lab software is 2.10.1 for anyone interested. So yeah.
All right, awesome, Pat. Thanks for showing us all the fun new features in the NeQter platform. I'm sure a lot of people are pretty excited about the ability to keep all the tasks grouped in one consolidated location. If anybody has any questions, please put them in, and I'd be happy to read them out for Pat to answer for you guys.
Yeah, so any questions that you have here, we can, show you. If there's any questions you have afterward, feel free to send them, and we'll look to answer. And this will, of course, be available. We upload all of these to our YouTube channel. So if you missed it today, or if you had to step away, or if you want someone else to see it, we will have it on that YouTube channel.
Yep, I'm actually going to pull the link up for that and put it in the chat for everybody in case
Mhm.
anyone hasn't had the pleasure of
Subscribed. Hmm.
subscribing to our page yet.
Yeah, get that ding notification. Oh, good, NeQter Labs has something, right? Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else. I think that was just about everything. We're going to continue to build out the alerts area. It's nice and organized now from where it was before. Um, this POAM area is crucial, and really just the ability for the SSP to have different customizations is important, or helps people with their workflow instead of being in a box, not having too much customization. We've enhanced that as well. Let's see.
We got a couple of questions that came in, Pat. Let's see. We'll start with Jared Victory. He wants to
Mhm.
know, are we going to be implementing login disclaimers that they can customize?
Yeah, so implement login, like for different users. Um, yeah, we don't have that right now. Obviously, we have the EULA for NeQter Labs that's tied in there. It's actually not a feature that someone has mentioned, but definitely, since this is a protected tool, and you should, kind of have, um, well, if anything, that ties into the NIST control of having login banners. So that's interesting. So, we'll write that down, look at that. In terms of anyone who is looking to uh, update the tool, so you can, it should give you an indication on the home screen where if it does say 2.9.1, it should say, it will let you know right here, hey, you have an update. Would you like to update? If it says you're up to date, if it's, click to make sure to check again, it should say you should be able to update to 2.10.1. You're also able to view in the settings area updates if it's on an older version and it doesn't say that it's can see a newer version. That might be an issue where potentially maybe the NeQter tool is not able to call out to the update server, so that could be a networking issue. I will look into that. If you do have continued issues with that, please open a ticket. Let's see here. So we'll answer this one. So with the NIST 800-171 controls, it is broken down into 251. But the 800-171 is much less than that. I'm sure that question comes from dealing with a lot of people have had to load a SPURS score. So NIST is one of the ones that we try to head it off, we try to address it, but then it keeps circling back, or they keep focusing on CMMC, and we think it's going away, and then it comes back with the vengeance. So one of the things that we're looking to do is we're going to look to pare back, or rather have the option to just have the 110 controls, or guidelines of NIST. The reason that it has 279 is because, and this was prior to the assessment guide, these are the 853 moderate baseline controls that map underneath the guidelines, which is Appendix D and E of the NIST 800-171. However, because of recent updates with the assessment objectives that they have in the assessment guide, what we'll look to do, and hopefully what we're looking to do is have just the 110 guidelines, but then we're going to layer in those assessment objectives, and we also need to look to do that for the CMMC side, because the SSP is good to have the 110 or 130 different practices or guidelines, but when you are assessed, it will be with the assessment objectives. So you need to make sure that your answers within those guidelines or practices are touching upon all the different points of the assessment objectives, so that which for CMMC, the 130 practices is about 300 or so assessment objectives. So we'll be looking to tie that in. So hopefully that answers your question. In terms of the 2FA for the NeQter Labs platform, to tie into Azure or Duo. What we're going to look to do is need to get a roadmap date for this. But one of our updates is going to include not just 2FA, it is going to include a LDAP and a 2FA integration. We want to make sure there was actually a scope change of the 171 in January that actually spreads and includes any both devices that process, transmit, or store CUI, or is used to protect systems that are handling CUI. Those are also in scope. So so we'll see, with that NIST scope, how that affects NeQter. We have plans to tie into FA, LDAP, and just make sure, by all accounts, that we're hardened against if NeQter Labs is within scope of a NIST assessment, and then of course moving forward with CMMC certification. So for the token issues for the updates, so that's actually something where we're going to be, it's a licensing issue, and we're actually going to be transforming and moving the infrastructure for our licensing. That's something that we're actually working on right now, because it was the token issue was really just too many, it's a good problem to have, too many requests. There's too many people looking for updates. The infrastructure that we had was just getting overloaded. So we're shifting that now. That should be remedied within the next several months, probably our summer or late summer update for that token issue. And it's really just a bandwidth thing. So if there's a token issue, wait a bit, or it should remedy, but we're going to alleviate that with a licensing update. So I think that covers the last couple questions.
Yep, you've got you hit all the questions very well, Patrick.
Okay, well, I hope so. If there's needs to be continued clarification, please shoot an email over, and we'll look to get it answered. But yeah, that's what we're looking at for the next few months is we're looking at just actually one of the exercises I'm going through right now, and we'll look to offer to everyone is, I'm sure most of you have that that mapping document that needed some needed to be a little bit more detailed. So there's something that we're doing where I'm working through with a couple people right now. We're going to have a really compliance guide for the NeQter against all of the assessment objectives of both the NIST and the CMMC. We're going to have answers in there of how specifically NeQter is meeting those objectives. And it was actually a really great exercise because there's sometimes some things that slip through, and you see in the objectives, and we're like, oh, we could be doing this. And it's been spurring our development, and obviously all of our customers are spurring our development as well, with all of your requests or insight or just some things that we didn't think about. So, please keep them coming. Keep us honest, keep us making a good platform.
All right, I think that just about wraps it up, unless anybody has any more questions for right now. I know all of you have both mine and Patrick's emails, so feel free to shoot either one of us an email or give us a call if you guys have any questions that you think of after the webinar concludes. And keep an eye out on the YouTube channel. We're going to be uploading not only this webinar, but we're currently working on getting some basic training videos up there for how to use different aspects of the platform. So it'll be just like you're sitting in on a demo with Patrick, except it's a quick little video that shows you exactly what you want to see, and you don't have to listen to all of his jibber jabber that goes along with it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Yeah, we got Chris on that. Chris is a great part of the team. And yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, Nick. I don't think on the last, we might have had it on the last one, but maybe between now and then, we've uploaded all of those how-to videos. There's a playlist on the YouTube. So the YouTube's a great resource. We have, at least a couple videos a month on there. At least one, and we're going to be adding more and more. So um, yeah, Dave,
Uh,
it's drop the link.
David,
So yeah.
I dropped the link in
Mhm.
the chat. I can drop it in there one more time.
Yeah. And in the email that goes out, yeah, that's one of the things we don't like about GoToWebinar. You got to pop it
Yeah.
out because it's like a letter slot, unless you expand it out. So yeah, so in that email that gets sent out at the conclusion, if you registered rather, it will have this video, and then you can click on our channel and have all that. Um, yeah, you can pop it out. It's a that was life changing when I figured that out too for GoToMeeting. So yeah, that's going to be in the email that gets sent out from Nick.
All right. Um, Thank you guys for coming to our webinar. We always love having you guys, our loyal following for these webinars. Without you guys, we'd pretty much just be talking to ourselves. So tell your friends about us. They can come watch us too. Um, we won't take up too much more of your guys' time, and just keep an eye out for that follow-up email with all the YouTube links, and feel free to contact me for any resources that you guys don't have access to right now that you need. As you all know, I'm always here to help and chase down whatever it is you're looking for to make your life as easy as possible.
Yeah, so everyone stays safe and healthy out there, so we can wrap up this year and get back to normal.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording, Pat.